Just people watching, doing my thing, and I thought, I don't want to talk about perceived authority. I feel like if I walked up to most people, and I said, if a police officer tells you to do something that's against your rights or against the law, and you just say, no, that's not happening. Who's breaking the law? Who's the criminal? You or the police officer? And I feel like if I pose the question that way, most of the people, probably even in the US, although we have pretty strong police worship, less so here, but I feel like on the street, if I ask this to most people, they'll be like, well, the police officer. Because if you ask most people, they view police officers as crooks here. I'm just going to go ask someone the question. Why not, right? I mean, I realize this isn't like, I'm not trying to make an accurate poll. I just want to see what the first person that I ask this question, that responds to this question, will tell me about this perceived authority. Amigo, voy a preguntarte algo. Es que estoy de Estados Unidos a hacer un video por mis amigos sobre la policía, algo en México. Si un policía te manda por hacer algo, pero es contra tus derechos, contra la ley, y te dijiste no, que no, ¿quién es la delincuente en este caso? ¿La policía o tú por reinarse de hacer?
Pues uno.
¿Uno qué?
Sí, nosotros.
¿Por qué?
Pues porque, digamos, estás haciendo algo que está, digamos, prohibido, pues.
No, pero si la policía te manda algo, si la policía quiere violar tus derechos y te dice no me tocas, déjame en paz. Y la policía dice debes obedienciarme, ¿no? Eso es verdad. O la policía es la delincuente y tú tienes la razón.
Ah, no, ellos.
Ellos, la policía.
Ajá,
Entonces sus derechos es sobre la policía.
Ajá.
Sobre la Constitución, por la Constitución, por los derechos humanos.
Ah,
Sí, solo quiero saber tus sentimientos en eso.
sí.
Muchas gracias.
Sí.
Buenas. Okay, so my bad Spanish made that a little confusing, but I think we got the point across. And his answer was, as I said, that no, the police is the criminal, our rights come first. And I think most people, when put in that context, they're going to agree, and yet somehow when we get on Facebook, even if the context is that simple, they don't. A comment on a video, or I post a video, or I have an incident myself, and I say, you don't have to obey a police officer. Suddenly there's all of these comments saying you're an idiot, laughing at you have to obey authority, and I don't know how many of these are just people that are, they're that dumb. And when they're not accountable, they're actually that big of state worshipers in all countries. Or how many of these accounts are actually like automated. Because it's truly hard to believe when you read the comments. And I was just on a video here in Mexico where somebody was saying no to a search, I think, from military who have no legal authority to search you. It was a complete violation of the Constitution. And this guy, I will try to link this video because this guy was responding kind of like I would in English. It reminded me of myself when I was coming up to checkpoints and stuff in the States. And I've started to see activists down here that have this kind of a manner, even though it's in Spanish and they're kind of doing their formal and polite thing. I've realized that there's a similarity in what they're doing to what is now called, I guess, auditing by a lot of people, but I always just called it, making a narrative, defending your neighbor, speaking out against corruption, but not simply the key. When I started out early, my first video was 2011. The key is to communicate, not to simply point a camera, but to say what you're feeling, to explain what's happening so that people gain understanding. And so as I'm looking around down here in Mexico and people are running around doing their thing, flags on their trucks right now, right? Because a week or so is Mexican Independence Day. And I'm feeling the same thing that I feel on the 4th of July in the United States. I'm like, we run around and we talk about our independence, but we're still letting ourselves get screwed over. We're still saying authority that doesn't actually follow authority. So you can't have it both ways, is what I'm saying. You can't say, we need to respect the law and people's rights, and that's why we're going to write laws in a constitution. And then on the flip side, when some fool in a uniform comes up and he says to you, do this, and you say, no, I don't have to, people say, how dare you refuse their authority? They are not the authority. even a constitution only has authority where it defends your rights, because human rights are the same. So people say, oh, you have to respect the laws of a country. You have to respect the laws of a city. You have to do what police say. You only do that out of fear of violence. It doesn't make them an authority. The biggest thug with the gun in whatever country you're in, whether you're in the US or in Mexico, in the Philippines, in China, anywhere, if it violates your rights, it's not a lawful authority, regardless of what their statutes or their constitutions say. So the point being is that a constitution is illegal if it violates your rights. But most of the time, there's major parts of constitutions that are designed to protect human rights. And even then, people say, no, you have to obey what they say. No, you don't. Because not only is it a violation of my rights, it's not even within the scope of the authority most times. Here's these cops, and they're going by and they're doing their thing. But everybody knows, just like in the US, that for the most part, these people screw you over. Now down here, they tend to be a lot more abrasive about that. They'll get in fist fights, they'll ignore them, they'll drive away from them. We have more latitude here to tell them to shove off because they're generally thought of as people who are trying to take advantage of us. But if you get online, if you get on Facebook, how dare you question their authority? And so where is this perceived authority propaganda coming from? And why are we allowing perceived authority? A law is your rights. Law protects human rights, life, liberty, and property. And if you trace back the roots of law, that's all it really is. Law is created to protect life, liberty, and property. If it doesn't do that, it's not law. It may be a statute. It may be codified. There may be a thug with a gun enforcing it, and at some point, you have to follow it. But that doesn't make it law. That just makes it that you're trying to kind of pick your battles, and you know you can't fight everything, so you kind of go along with it sometimes, because a lot of times in this world, we have no choice but to try and avoid problems in the thug with a gun. But the authority, that doesn't mean we shouldn't stand up. It doesn't mean we shouldn't say, no, I'm not doing that. That's not a rejection of authority. When they try to violate us, they're the ones rejecting authority. Not only the authority of our human rights, but most of the time the authority of their own laws. So we made the question, we asked the question. And the fact is that a perceived authority, a uniform, it's a perceived authority. A cop telling you to do something, it's a perceived authority. An authority that is not backed by the defense of your rights first, secondarily, the statutes that protect those rights like constitutions, etc., is no authority at all. It's not a law, it's just a thug with a gun, and you have to decide in that instance whether you're going to comply to avoid problems with the thug, to avoid being robbed, to avoid being kidnapped. But even if you choose to comply in that case because you feel like you don't have a choice, just like if someone's robbing you on the street, it doesn't make you wrong. It still makes them the criminal, and their authority was still fake. And we need to stop recognizing. We can't always say no. They're going to rob us for our taxes. They're going to try to screw us over no matter where we go in the world. But we need to recognize and educate people and be strong that that is not authority. That's just criminal activity. All right, you guys, I don't want to go past 10 minutes. I just wanted to get that out there. We'll see you soon. Peace.